So welcome to the Team Prosperity meeting. This is a weekly meeting where we dive into some things that have either come up over the week or things that we think that you guys need to know in order to build your business to a point that you can eventually start to scale your business. So like I said, this is June 2nd meeting. And what we really want to concentrate on today, outside of the things that have come up during the week, is a second half playbook. So as you're speaking to your partners, as you guys are reviewing what's happened up to this point and looking at the back half of this year, you really want to implement a plan and then go aggressively right now. If you guys have been paying attention to some of the Facebook articles, one of the ones that we put out the other day is people are really upset because employers are breaking promises they made during the pandemic in terms of remote and virtual working, and they're recalling those people to the office. Once people get a taste of something that's a better life for themselves, that they want to keep going, it's hard for them to return back to that normal state. So what that means for us is we've got a lot of people that are on the move when we talk about this, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Be a talent scout, make sure you know who you're looking for, why, and how to effectively have that conversation of communication to show people how to get what they want. So the things that have come up this week, we have a lot of people that are working on the presentation. So if you look at your pipeline and you look at creating leads and converting leads, this is the last step. And this is the most important. Doesn't matter whether your leads are costing you $1 or $100. This is where you create revenue, income. This is where you get a return on that investment. So we need to make sure that we understand the importance of what we're doing here. And as we have people come into these presentations, I don't care if we've done it, a few hundred times, this is the first time they're being introduced to us, and probably the first time they're being introduced to some of this information. So you have to nail these presentations. And that starts with just a commitment to learning it, practicing it, and improving it. I tell you guys, the first thing I do when I'm trying to learn something new like a presentation is make sure I understand the slides. What slide comes next? Because it's easier to create transition language when you know what's coming up next versus just have the slide pop up and then try to create language off of that. So the more you can have a flow and a transition to what we're trying to do, easier it is for those other people on the other side to absorb and digest that information, because you're giving it like in a story-like fashion versus, just choppy slides. If you do this, and I can already tell that a lot of people on the team that are working on this are getting better and better. Just imagine where you'll be in the next 90 to 120 days in terms of starting to master what you need to do. That creates a confidence effect, and that allows you to go out and teach other people how to do this. It's hard from a managerial perspective to go out, bring people in and try to teach them something that you either haven't done or you're not doing now, because you have to be in the trenches to be able to tell what's going on, understand some of the early pitfalls of trying to get some of this stuff done, and then helping people preemptively overcome that. So you have to be able to first do it on your own and then be able to teach other people. The 1-2 combination punch of this business, building and learning. Remember, we always talk about, your income is a reflection of your ability to learn new things and implement new things. Same thing with this business. If you're at the same place you were skill set wise, now that you were a year ago, that's a problematic leading indicator that things are not going well. If you're able to put things together, there are really no limits in this income. I was doing an interview this week and somebody asked me if this was a legit 7-figure business. My answer was not without a plan of action, because you're not just going to drift into a 7-figure business. But if you're willing to commit yourself, we always talk about, we're not going to come back to you and ask you for infrastructure, capital to set things up. Your part of this whole process is the ability to produce on the human element side, clients and partners. Also, guys, I really feel that over the next 12, 24, 36 months, however long it really to get this thing to a point of mass distribution, giants of the company are still coming in. So once again, if your skill set is so that you have weaknesses, you can always hire people that, that thrive on those and have strengths on the opposite side of your weakness. So you're trying to be a talent scout, and bring people into this organization that will shape the distribution channels across this country. You get richly rewarded for being here early in this kind of a cycle and being able to identify those people. Remember, when you are talking and going through your day, not understanding what you're supposed to be doing, bringing a negative mindset to the day, it's going to have big problems and issues for you. So lack of focus and lack of positivity, this business works and it's getting ready to work in a big way. So if you're not finding the success here, it's just probably things that you just need to fix, on our own. Mine, to be quite honest with you guys, like David and Alana and a lot of you guys can make early connections with people. I struggle there. So my weakness is I'll present this stuff, and if you don't get it, if you're too dumb to understand how this is going to help you, then that's your problem. So I need to work on relating more to people, but we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, but the things that we absolutely have to concentrate on all the time is bringing focus, intention, action, and positivity to your business model. Also, when you're building, we always talk about this. It's probably one of the most important things that you have to understand, because psychologically, when somebody enters into a business, there's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. And you went through the same thing probably. So you have to understand that people come on almost like a high for no reason. They're just excited. They don't even know about what. And then as they understand, hey, this is going to be work, this is going to take some time, they can slip into that informed pessimism. And obviously, at some point, you get to the point where at the valley of despair, which means that, this is taking longer. This is much harder than you thought it was going to be. And two things happen here. People either quit and start a new cycle all over again, or they power through this and then they get to hopeful realism, informed optimism, and then obviously at some point success. So down here, you have to know how to talk to people. You have to relate to people, and you have to help people understand that, what they're going through is no different than what we all go through, and they have a choice here: power through it or give up and start the cycle all over again. Some people never get out of here. They just continue down this slide over and over and over again. There's nothing that you can do about that, but you can, from a managerial perspective, help people understand where they are and how to get out of that. Another thing that came up this week is I try to put as much good information as I find in the Facebook group to help you guys grow, but obviously it's a private group, but it's wide open for the people who are actually members of there. So, you can post questions, you can post stuff that you find relevant. This is just made to help you guys in terms of getting to know each other, be able to answer questions, share relevant material, recognize the people that are making it happen. Got the baseball home run derby tournament going on right now. So as your partners come in, if they do have a Facebook account, they do have access to this private group, and we will accept their request. Another thing that we want to know is, as you guys are building your organizations, if you've got suggestions, if you've got things that you want to see taught, whether it be, on the Wednesday team meetings or otherwise, your voice definitely matters. So we want to understand, hey, if you've got something that's working that nobody else is doing, be willing to share that. And on the other side, if you're running into problems, people other than you are probably having the same problem. So your voice matters here. If you've got suggestions or you've got things that you want discussed, make sure you let us know. So last week, we talked a little bit about learning how to talk about value over cost. It's so important that we understand that, because a lot of our clients, their mentality is it's automatically going to go to the cost side, the expense side. So learning how to talk about value over cost, creating an effective LinkedIn profile that does what it needs to do, not a resume-like profile, but a business-like profile, using the cash flow quadrant as a filter to make sure you're talking to the right people, overcoming the fear of the phone. Great companies grow, and striking a balance in your business. So these are always recorded, always kept in a library, on YouTube and in our Facebook group. So this week, like I talked about, we're really going to concentrate on the second half playbook. If you have accomplished stuff through the first 6 months or have not, doesn't really matter. This is a playbook going forward, regardless of what you have or have not done. First of all, you got to bring a mindset to what you're trying to do, because if you're dialed into this, there's a lot of possibility here in terms of revenue, income growth, partner growth, scalability. But you have to have the right mindset, because on any given day, things are going to happen. Some good things, some bad things. Some days might really, really suck. But the mindset of understanding what you're doing and more importantly, why you're doing it, is going to pull you through those times. And then the other part of it is momentum. So it's mindset and momentum. Momentum works both ways. Lack of momentum is like the walls coming in on you. Feels like you can't breathe because nothing's happening. And then when you get that forward momentum going, things really start to materialize. Anything that you do in terms of a new marketing or lead generation funnel or system, you got to give it enough time to build up enough leads so you get a trickle in, because some of the stuff that you're doing right now may materialize in terms of revenue and income over the next 45 or 60 days. So having a big wall of that coming in over time is just going to increase your sales and increase your equity points, increase your place in monthly pools as well. Also, you got to have a plan. So what, like I said, somebody asked me if this is a legit 7-figure business. I said, not without a plan. It is with a plan, but without a plan, you're just going to drift. And it's very, very important that we understand that for new people coming in, because if you think about visually what's happening in an organization, we're not in the office. So if you think about your partner, what's happening? Are they just sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs, not really understanding what to do? That partner is never going to find success here. So for ourselves, we need a plan. And just like the presentations we get good at, we can show our plans, how we got to our plans, how we execute our plans, but no plan, you're going to have a lot of people not find success here. So make sure this is part of your own, business model, and make sure it's part of your organizational growth plan as well. And then, when we're looking at this, what are your biggest goals for the second half? And do you have a detailed plan to get there? Because if you do, it's a lot easier to help people reach that. If your goals is what you need help with, that's something I really can't help you with. So you have to understand, what you want to accomplish and why, and then we step in with a detailed action plan to help you get there. And the things that you've got to focus on, because there's a lot of things that can distract you, detract you, get you off your game. So there's things that matter, and there's things that you can control. And then right in the middle, the sweet spot, really what you should focus on. So in that plan of action for your second half playbook, understand what you should focus on, because if you're intently focused on that, it's a lot harder to let all the other stuff distract you. So that's the sweet spot right there. And understand, you go on a 6-month run here for the back half of this year and concentrate on that, then you should have you should start to see things happen, build, and then from that, the revenue and income really start to come in on a continuous basis. In our business, there's no reason why you shouldn't build up to the point where you have direct deposits coming in every single day. And then, you manage, focus, avoid, and limit. This is all about, building that plan of action and understanding, hey, what do I do? And then sometimes, as importantly, what do I not do? So you have to understand that, short-term crisis and problems, and then on the longer term, important but not urgent, this stuff up here, when you manage and focus your day and avoid and limit the time-wasting factors, then you are in a better position to outwork your competition, whether that be internally or outward in the industry. You're trying to get an upper leg and an upper hand on every possibility that you can. And you've got to think about expansion, guys, in a grand fashion, because you're not going to get, high 6 figures, high 7 figures thinking about, just, contraction or very small growth. So when you think expansion, I'm talking about a portfolio of digital agencies that are all having X amount of revenue and income being spun off those agencies every single month. So you have to think expansion, because if you're not, your brain's not going to lead you to something you're not thinking about. And this is really where you have to have some type of a business plan. You have to have digital and marketing assets set up that create lead generation. And then from the point of rapport, trust, and credibility from an online business, you got to start publishing some content, and it's got to be able to be visible to people who are looking you up online. Remember, if I've never met you, but you can go online and you can see some stuff, whether that's a LinkedIn profile that's well put together with some articles there, doesn't even have to be yours. Content management is very, very important part of being able to introduce yourself to people before you actually physically introduce yourself. And then the brand management. So what is it that you're all about? If you can connect this stuff together, this is a business plan and a second half playbook that should work very well for you to create some offense. Remember, our part of this whole process is the people. So you've got to be able to bring in clients. You've got to be able to bring in qualified partners to help you with the distribution. And don't get it twisted. You know, I don't recruit to sell people products. I think that's a model that's a dead model. I think it's very, early or late 90s, early 2000s, with the birth of the internet. So that's really not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sell products and services to clients that need them and want them. And I'm trying to bring in partners and hire and recruit partners that I think will make a good fit for the organization based on their skill set and what they're trying to accomplish. That's the 1-2 kind of seesaw battle. You're bringing in clients for the reason of helping them, educate them how money works, getting them appropriate products and services. And then on the opposite side, you need to make sure that you've got a game plan that concentrates on bringing in talent. Like I said, you make revenue and income off sales, obviously, but you're going to get to the passive, the distribution income by bringing in people that can help you build nationwide distribution. And you've got to have a plan to bring in leads. So where are these people going to come from? Because it's very, very important that you understand, if you've got a lead source that's producing, you want to go back to it. If you've got a lead source that's dried up or never producing, you want to kill it. So you have to understand, A, leads are the lifeblood of your business, but also B, where are they coming from and the outcomes of those leads? You've got to be defined in your approach. This is very, very important. This will change the business approach for somebody in a very positive way. If you start to help them understand, we talk about this all the time, you cannot be everything to everyone. So you've got to understand, who am I talking to? What's the message that I'm getting out? And where am I going to find these people to get my message out? Once you understand who you're looking for, where they're found, and the message is going to resonate with the percentage of those people, you just continuously go out. And we're going to help you guys over the coming weeks and months with this by really, automating as much of this as possible. And we just talked about this, find a niche market and dominate that. Either understand, what problems these people are having, or understand, some perceived problems that you think they're having, and then talk to them in a way that's solutions based. And if you do that, the natural course of you building your organization, you'll find diversity just from everybody else opening up their own markets. But if you dominate a specific market or a niche market, this is going to be a lot easier for you to build. And that comes with, a partner persona. So A, I have client personas that I want to talk to, and then B, I have partner personas. And once again, if you understand who you're looking for, makes it a lot easier to identify those people. So once again, like if you're trying to build an online business and people don't believe in technology, don't spend time online, it's not a good partner, guys. So understand, what is the background, the identifiers, the goals, the challenges, the demographics, and the interest of the people that I'm trying to bring in. And once you identify that, like I said, much easier to find and talk to those people. Alignment plus engagement. Who am I trying to align myself with and what's my message? Once again, doesn't matter if it's the client side of the business or the partner side of the business, there are certain people with certain messages that you're going out to. And once you understand that and nail that approach, your business should open up multiple streams of certain types of demographics and people. And then you'll just, the last piece of that, like we talked about earlier, is just really making sure you understand the presentation part, whether it's an interview, whether it's client education, that's the part that you got to nail. Your sources of your leads, you're going to have expectations. Sometimes those expectations, you get to those expectations in terms of reality. Sometimes you fall way short of those. So where are my leads coming from? What am I expecting? And what are the actual results of that whole process? Because if they're good, go back and repeat. And if it's something you're throwing money at, obviously throw fuel on the fire. But if you're just throwing money or randomly having action in different directions, you're never going to be able to understand truly what's happening in your business. And then when people ask for your help or advice in building their business, you're not going to have much to pass on. Automation is the key for the second half of the year, guys, and going forward. I think that if we all evaluated each others' business, we would probably say that one of the deficiencies is there's just not enough automation. Remember, automation saves yourself from yourself, because a lot of us, including myself, struggle with organization. So if I've got something that I know is going to be taken care of, guess what? That frees up time. I know that it's going to happen, and I can reinvest that time into, income producing activities. It also gives you an advantage over your competition. If I have several pieces of automation, it's almost like having a group of employees that's constantly working for me. Like I said, we're going to try to help you guys as much as possible over the coming weeks. We're going to have funnels coming out for different types of people for different reasons, whether it be recruiting, whether it be sales, whether it be missed appointments that you can put them in. And this is going to help you guys, because once they're in the top of the funnel, there's automated text, emails, voicemails that go out. It's going to do that job for you. And really the point of the funnel is two things. Either we want to push them out, opt out of the funnel in some way, or we want to get them to a certain point where they've got the interest to want to talk to us. A lot easier to talk to people who have at least general interest about what you're doing versus going out and having to manufacture that outbound. For you guys, if this is going to be going on in the background, the reason that we had a little delay is because the company we're working with wanted to charge $150 a month for every agent that came on there. So Ron and I are just going to build it on our own and let you guys come in and access this for basically nothing. So what that means for you guys is, if you have these tools, you just need to get organized in your approach. And that's all you need to do, is make sure you're having enough contacts per day, make sure that you've got your personas out there and you're approaching the right type of people with the right type of lead magnets to get them in the funnel, and the rest will take care of itself. These funnels and everything that we're trying to do, your business plan for the back half of the year, and we always go through this. This is an important stat that everybody should make sure they understand. 12 to 15 appointments per week. And then what is an appointment? Someone with a reason to do something. Could be a potential client, could be a potential partner, somebody with a reason to do something. Get on your calendar 12 to 15 of those a week, teach other people how to do that, and watch your business take off. Remember, somebody with a reason to do something means they have a why. They have a motivating factor. When we are talking to people, if we can't uncover their why, it's not our job to help them, establish why they would want to do something. It is our job to help uncover what that is. If we can't uncover a why, it's going to be a dead conversation. And once you do uncover the why, you continue to go back and hit that as the motivating factor to take the next action step. This is what I work on. This is what Alana works on. This is what everybody should be working on every single month, because if you're bringing in 3 clients that you've helped and you're bringing in 3 partners that you think are qualified, and that 3 by 3, that's your commitment to your business every single month. This is what I try to do every single month, knowing that this will build into an office that will build into a portfolio of digital agencies. If my branch office falls short, and the reason was because I didn't come up with my commitment, well, that's going to cost me money. And it's also going to cost me my position as leading by example. Because if you're asking people to do stuff and you're not doing it yourself, they're really not going to take you too seriously going forward. And then once we've got partners in, we need to lock in with ownership. And this is something we really need to work on going forward for the second half. If you've got somebody good that you think is going to make a good partner, one of the ways that we lock people in is through ownership. We allow them to go out and build their own business, make their own relationships. But remember, it's very, very important. If somebody is in a position they might lose out on something, that is a very strong motivational factor. And that comes in from, getting, your business built wide and deep. Got a good partner, lock them in with ownership by helping them build. Another thing that we have to do going forward is all of our partners, you have to see yourself with a certain purpose. And I tell you guys, it's a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to come from a position of power when you see yourself as an educator. Whether you're talking to a potential partner or client, that's how I see myself. And that allows me to go into a conversation, not with any hidden agendas or predetermined things I'm trying to accomplish. I go in there trying to teach people a better way, whether that's a better way to build a business, whether that's a better way to have an at-home work opportunity, whether that's a better way to, build their financial picture for the better. You're an educator, I'm an educator. That's what we do. I talked about this a little bit earlier in my overall analysis of my business on client side. Now, when I bring in people, I make a connection with them. Right? I have a lot of professional connections within this business. A lot of friendships have formed. But on the front side, I'm not good at the small talk, making those personal connections. So that's something I have to work on. If that's your strength, great. That you also share that weakness with me. That's something you got to work on. Because in sales, if you don't make a personal connection, somebody feels like you haven't done enough to get to know them. It's going to be hard for them to pull the trigger and make that commitment to spend X amount of money on what you're selling. As you're starting to talk to people, you need to be dialed in. If somebody's telling you their goals, their dreams, their motivating factors, you need to write that down and you need to have them expand on that, because when you take notes from an introductory meeting, and then you go to a next meeting, if you're not dialed into exactly what came out of that first meeting in terms of what they want, why, and how you're going to help them get there, it's not going to be a high conversion factor on the backside. People are going to buy, whether it's buy into your business opportunity or your products, once they know that you have their best interest in heart and that you can actually help them. Remember, if you're looking at what we do from a financial wellness standpoint, people fear money. Most people are concerned about money matters, but few really understand how money works. So our message sometimes is going to fall on a crowd that's reluctant or hesitant to really make any financial moves. So we break down those barriers by leading with education, and that's our mission. That's our focus, and that's what's going to get us our results. So the whole concept of financial literacy, financial wellness, how money works, the money milestones, building blocks. Remember, you are laying down a pathway to get somebody where they want to go in the future. You do that by leading with education to show them, hey, this is what most people are currently doing wrong. This is what most people could currently do to solve that problem. And then we go into personalized situations and reports. Going forward, you guys, you see inflation starting to creep in. 30% of our total money supply has been created over the past 6 months or so. So this is not really an option for people going forward. Financial wellness in the past used to be a nice to have item in the overall plan. Now it's an integral part of well-being. So you need to understand your place in the overall industry and understand what you're trying to accomplish as an educator. There are huge problems that need to be solved, and you're a part of that solution. Because at the end of the day, whether I'm talking to a potential partner or client, I'm trying to educate them and I'm trying to teach them on the fact that, hey, you don't just have to survive and get by. You can actually thrive. Let me show you how. A lot of the things that worrisome for our clients is they think to have major impacts and major changes, or I'm sorry, to have major impacts in their financial plan, they're going to have to make major changes. A lot of times what we're teaching them is, 1 or 2 simple changes and what that can do on the back end as far as exponential changes, in terms of what the path they're on right now versus the path that they could be on. So one of the preemptive barriers that you have to overcome is people think to have a different outcome, I've got to make major changes. Understanding value for the second half of the year, understanding your value and place in the industry, what you're trying to do as an educator, as a marketer, as a manager, all of these things, understand your value and then understand the value that you bring to the marketplace, whether that's on a social media type atmosphere or environment, or whether that's one-on-one with a potential client. And then another thing that we really need to work on, I promise you guys, and we're all doing terrible at this, is we need to ask for referrals. And you don't ask for referrals on, hey, who do you know that you can refer over to me? You've got to make sure, and this is the easiest way to get it done, once that value has been established, provided, and recognized, then you ask for the referral and you put it into some communication like this. Who else do you know and care about that needs to know this information? If you've done a great job with a client, this has to be part of that follow-up. So, maybe after that initial client support call, we go in, make sure that went well, they're all set up. It's a great time to ask for it. They're still excited about what's going on. So you need to understand that the cost of acquisition of a new client off a referral is zero. So when you talk about creating leads for yourself, you talk about creating revenue and income. If you're not doing this, you're leaving money on the table, and that money that could be coming in as revenue and income can go to a lot of good sources, including, more lead generation and more marketing. You got to invest in yourself. And this is one of the biggest things, piece of advice that I've got for you guys the second half of the year is, like I said, don't let your skill set at the end of this year on December 31st, getting ready to ring in 2022, be the same as it was going into the summer of 2021. You got to make sure you continue to grow yourself. And then what we ask and new partners coming in is understand if there's a new paradigm and we're able to have an office relocation back to the home, then we need to teach how that office relocation and how that advantage can be reinvested in digital marketing strategies, leads, automation. We're not paying rent. We're not paying commute charges like dry cleaning and gas. Then that money needs to be reinvested to build your online virtual presence. And we need to work with virtual teams in terms of how we manage those over the next 6 months or so, because it's very, very important. Virtual doesn't mean chaotic, and virtual doesn't mean, hey, check in with me and let me know how things are going. Virtual means there's a lot of advantages, but there's a few disadvantages. And the disadvantages come from the disconnection sometimes of being in the virtual world. So you got to keep contact with your people, make sure you're helping them. Now, there is a line there. Help the people that deserve your help, not just need your help. So somebody's got to have a commitment from their side, but understand that when you start working with virtual teams and understand how to manage them, the velocity of the virtual build out really speeds up. As you're building the winning team, remember, you've got a bunch of different people coming in from a bunch of different walks of life, bunch of different skill sets. Part of what you do in the beginning is make sure they understand, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what we're doing for you. Meet us in the middle. If you teach other people how to build teams based on a winning formula versus just throwing them against the wall and seeing what works, you're going to find your portfolio of digital agencies build faster and build stronger. This is what an office is. So it's not 7 to 10 hires or recruits. It's 7 to 10 active people in there that are, trying to make it happen with activity and intention. This is an office. Once this starts to occur, you'll naturally have some people that gain independence and start their own offices. That'll get you the distribution. But the only thing that you concentrate on right now is yourself and getting that initial branch office built with 7 to 10 partners that are having activity. And that comes from time management. So as you guys are setting up these offices, with the automation that we're bringing, with some of the tools that we're bringing, if that stuff is being done on an automated basis, then that allows us to free up time to do some other stuff, not sit there and just watch YouTube videos for entertainment or get on Facebook, but to actually reinvest that into income producing activities. Remember, automation doesn't just free up time so we can waste it. Automation frees up time so we can reinvest it. If we are doing what we need to on a daily basis, this business is very easy. If we're not doing what we need to do on a daily basis and we're logging in and we're checking stuff once or twice a week, this becomes overwhelming. So if we're not establishing a rhythm of activity, that menial daily task and the activity becomes overwhelming. If you stay on top of this, it's a very easy business. If you don't stay on top of this business, then there's really no chance of success here. And then for the second half of the year, remember, you've got your calendar. These are specific calendar appointments that you have to do on a daily basis. Outside of that, you've got things that are happening in the CRM and different cycles of communication. You need to make sure you stay on top of your new task as well as your tasks that you haven't gotten around to that are now delayed or late. And you got your to-do list. What is it I'm trying to do over the next coming days or weeks that's not specific to a calendar or a CRM? And like I said, we're going to be concentrating on putting as much of this on an automated fashion as possible. Risk versus reward. What are we doing and what's the best possible outcome of what we're doing versus the worst possible outcome? And when you start to organize your day, your mindset, and your offices around this, becomes easier to talk to people on the client side, on the partner side, because we've got a scale on both sides, the client and the partner side, that's heavily skewed towards the reward side with little to no risk. Income producing activities are the most important part of what you're doing. Like I said, if we've got automation and process for you, don't just waste that time. Make sure that you're using that time to connect with people, make those personal relationships, making sure that you're marketing, educating, doing what you need to do that cannot be automated. And social media has got to be a part of the second half playbook. So if your partners are new to social media or have very little experience, don't say, hey, all these platforms. I say learn LinkedIn first. That's the only thing I want you to do is learn LinkedIn, become good at LinkedIn, move over to Facebook when you become comfortable. Then if you want to go to Twitter, Instagram, and you have the capacity to do that at that time, learn something new and implement that, that's great. But don't think that you're just going to come in, set up 6 social media profiles and platforms, and instantly start extracting value from there. Concentrate on the most important ones first and then branch out. Your goal in social media is to reach people and influence them early on in the purchase decision. We've talked about this before. We're not selling cars, washers, houses. We're selling financial wellness. So this is always in somebody's mind and always at the purchase decision stage. So social media advertising is, especially mobile, the single biggest opportunity in the history of advertising. You create an environment where you can talk directly to potential partners or clients. That creates engagement. So social media is an ongoing skill that we should be learning on a continuous basis, getting better at. Remember, not everything that you do on social media is going to be successful. You need to learn from both the failures as well as the successes and get better at what you do. The 3-step process: build your audience, engage your audience, and sell your audience. So the peppered amount of selling to your audience should be on the lower end as far as the percentages. This is what we're doing daily. We're continuing to build the audience every single day, engaging that audience with entertainment, education, information, whatever it might be, and then at the appropriate places and points, sell your audience. Remember, at any given time, 100 people, there's going to be a couple people that need tires, a couple people that need dental work. So understand that at any given time, you're going to be speaking directly to people that need your products and services. And then you've got to create a content strategy, whether that's an automated content strategy where the blog's created for you, or whether you're out there writing the stuff. Remember, when I look you up, if I'm going to do business with you, what do I find? It should be enough where I feel comfortable talking to you and I can get to know you a little bit. And like I said, at the bottom of that pyramid, trust, rapport, credibility, we have to have that. Without that, we can't go through the rest of the process. So we just talked about this a minute ago, but these are really where you can do a great deal of setup in the beginning stages of your business and extract some value. You build your brand on LinkedIn, you build your brand on Facebook, and then that's from the connection process, that's from messages, that's from posts, that's from interactions, and that's from leveraging groups as well. Now, it's very important you guys understand, because as you're managing people and coming in, we picked LinkedIn as our top social media platform for a number of reasons. One of those reasons is it's still scaling. Facebook has reached scale, which basically means they want to charge you for your real estate there. LinkedIn will still reward you on an organic level up until they reach scale. So there's a lot of different reasons that we choose LinkedIn to start, but one of those is the ability to go in there and not have to pay for real estate. You write good stuff, post good stuff, it will get visibility. And then you need to analyze your competition on social media, outside social media. What is catching your eye? What are people doing? And just mimic that, guys. Put the odds in your favor for the rest of the year. Work hard, be accountable, stay positive, ignore the haters. This is a big one. If anything you're doing, you're going to get backlash online. It doesn't even matter. Even if you're doing, community service or trying to help a civic group or whatever it might be, there's always going to be somebody that tries to tear you down. You cannot let that affect you, and you've got to keep your vision. Biggest fear that I think that you guys should have and that your partners and your clients have is you don't want to look back in 5 years time and think, hey, we could have been magnificent, but I was afraid. In 5 years, I want to tell of how the fear tried to cheat me out of the best thing in my life and I didn't let it. So once again, gaining skill sets, making sure you understand, recognizing opportunity, and making sure you are able to communicate that opportunity to potential clients, to potential partners, to get your message across in a clear, concise, articulate way. Like I said, be driven by the fear of being average and by the fear of being in the same place that you are right now in the future. So that's it for this week, guys. I hope you got something out of this. And like I said, we're always available on an individual basis. If you're working, we're going to be working with you to make sure you find the success.